The sun hadn't even peeked over the hills of Maplewood Hollow, Tennessee, on a crisp October morning in 2024 when I stepped onto my wraparound porch, coffee mug in hand, expecting nothing but the quiet chirping of birds. My name's Caleb Turner, a structural engineer who'd just sunk my savings into a 120-year-old farmhouse 3 days prior, drawn to its charm and, more importantly, its location outside the clutches of the nearby Pinecrest HOA. The county tax sticker on my weathered mailbox post screamed independent, a deliberate choice to escape the suburban stranglehold of petty rules. But at 6:15 a.m., before I could even take a sip, Margaret Hensley, the HOA's iron-fisted chairwoman, shattered the peace. She stood at the base of my porch steps, flanked by two neighbors in tacky self-printed compliance team shirts, waving a stack of papers like they were eviction orders. "We'll take this house by force if we have to," she bellowed, her face flushed in the pale dawn light filtering through the oak canopy. I froze, mug halfway to my lips, wondering if I'd stumbled into some rural dystopia. Her documents looked sketchy signatures that didn't match any official records, claims of HOA authority over my clearly exempt property. The neighbors gawked like this was a reality show, but I wasn't about to let this circus overrun my new home. I set my coffee down, pulled out my phone, and started recording, narrating her threats and zooming in on the homestead sticker proving my land's non-HOA status. Margaret jabbed her finger toward my door, ranting about banks backing her and some supposed lien on my deed. It was bold, delusional, and borderline unhinged. Before I could fire back, a county sheriff's cruiser rolled up the winding gravel lane. Deputy Nathan Cole, mid-30s and no stranger to HOA squabbles, stepped out. "Ma'am, HOAs can't seize property outside their recorded boundaries," he said, citing Tennessee Penal Code for unlawful threats. Margaret waved her papers at him, insisting they proved her authority. But Nathan's skeptical squint told me he wasn't buying it. I read aloud from my title binder, thick with proof my farmhouse sat free and clear of Pinecrest's reach. Her compliance team started to fidget, one muttering about checking with the office before slinking away. 2 days later, Margaret switched tactics. From my kitchen window, I watched her march through Maplewood Hollow, clipboard in hand, pitching a Preserve Our Community Charm petition. The afternoon sun cast long shadows as she targeted every neighbor, gesturing toward my farmhouse like it was a blight on their property values. She hit the elderly couple in the restored Craftsman first, then the newer homes near the subdivision line. I took a walk, casually checking my mailbox, and caught snippets of her spiel phrases like property value collapse and outsider threat. It stung to hear Mrs. Larson, who'd praised my restoration work days earlier, sign her petition after Margaret's fearmongering. My ally, James Whitaker, a meticulous county records clerk, whispered to me near the mailbox cluster, "Those aren't legit county documents. Wrong letterhead. Fake commission name." His notary expertise spotted the forgery instantly, a fabricated rural heritage commission that didn't exist. Margaret's campaign wasn't just harassment. It was felony-level fraud. Her next move was bolder. One evening, four trucks rumbled down my lane, parking strategically around my property. 6 people in those same compliance team shirts spilled out, armed with clipboards, cameras, and fake surveying gear. They staged a safety inspection, planting violation markers near my barn and pretending to discover them. I filmed from my window, pulse racing, as they measured my chicken coop like it was a hazmat site. The absurdity would have been funny if it wasn't so menacing. Then, a stroke of luck, the rural mail carrier, Clara Evans, rolled up during her route. Her truck's dash cam caught the crew placing markers before their so-called inspection. I saw them stage it. She told me quietly, handing me my mail. Pure theater. Deputy Cole arrived. Body cam rolling. After a neighbor's tip about suspicious activity. The crew's credentials didn't check out. They were paid contractors, not HOA volunteers, funded by misappropriated HOA cash. Clara's footage and James's financial audit revealed Margaret was burning through Pinecrest's reserves for this harassment campaign, violating nonprofit laws. Things escalated when Margaret targeted my livelihood. 3 clients called within hours, rattled by claims I was under investigation for shoddy inspections. My heart sank as I sat in my officia, converted barn fielding calls from contractors I'd worked with for years. Margaret had spread lies about code violations at my own home, even offering bribes to switch inspectors. One client, Miguel Torres, recorded her pitch. We need inspectors who align with community standards. Cooperate, and you'll get priority on future HOA contracts. That was straight-up bribery. A legal landmine. I shared my clean licensing record from the Tennessee Board of Engineers, neutralizing her smear campaign. James uncovered HOA budget lines for community outreach that funded her attacks. A clear misuse of member dues. The courtroom was her next battlefield. Margaret's high-dollar lawyer, paid with unapproved HOA funds, filed for emergency injunctive relief, claiming my farmhouse posed immediate safety risks based on her staged violations. The polished attorney laid out photos of planted markers, spinning them as legitimate hazards. Judge Eleanor Hayes, skeptical but cautious, granted a temporary restraining order, limiting my property use until a full hearing. It felt like a gut-punch-me evidence of fraud and harassment sidelined by legal maneuvering. But James's audit uncovered a gold mine. Margaret had siphoned $15,000 from HOA emergency reserves for her lawyer, bypassing board approval. This wasn't just harassment. It was systematic theft. The tide turned when Margaret pitched her story to Channel 9 News, painting me as a threat to Maplewood Hollow's charm. Their routine background check unearthed her 2019 conviction for embezzling $60,000 from a similar nonprofit in Knox County. Reporter Emily Chin shifted focus, grilling me about Margaret's fraud patterns instead of property disputes. I handed over everything: recordings, forged petitions, financial records. The broadcast exposed her as a repeat offender, preying on rural trust. Neighbors who'd signed her petition showed up at my porch, mortified, with apologies and homemade pies. The news sparked a broader investigation, revealing Margaret's schemes across 3 Tennessee communities, with over $250,000 embezzled. Desperate, Margaret texted me for a private resolution at a remote overlook. I alerted prosecutor Laura Bennett, who wired me with a recorder. At noon, Margaret slid a $30,000 cashier's check across a bench, offering it to end the inconvenience if I drop all complaints and leave. Her voice dripped with fake sincerity as she admitted to faking HOA membership records, siphoning funds, and forging documents for years. The bank needs a 92% collection ratio, so I create ghost members, she confessed. My hands shook not from temptation, but from the weight of her admissions. She'd just handed prosecutors a slam-dunk case for federal wire fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy. Federal agents swarmed Maplewood Hollow days later, their SUVs lining my gravel lane. Special Agent Daniel Brooks confirmed Margaret's confession triggered a multi-county racketeering probe. Her operation involved mail fraud, forged documents sent via post, wire fraud, interstate bank transfers, and money laundering, shell companies hiding stolen funds. Sentencing guidelines pointed to 12 to 18 years in prison, plus $80,000 in fines and full asset forfeiture. My restitution covered $20,000 in legal fees and reputation damage, but $50,000 went to other victims of her fake assessments and intimidation. The community healed slowly. New HOA elections brought transparent leadership, and neighbors rallied at the Harvest Festival, where I unveiled a plaque on my farmhouse, protected by Tennessee law. Fraud defeated here. James now teaches rural communities to spot forged documents, while Laura's firm consults on nonprofit oversight. I joined a fraud prevention program, sharing my story to protect others. Margaret's threats, once screamed on my porch, now echo in federal databases. Her freedom traded for decades of supervision. As I sip coffee on my porch, the valley feels whole again. But I'm left wondering, how would you handle a neighbor threatening your home with fake authority? Would you fight back with evidence or walk away? Could you stay calm when someone targets your livelihood? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear how you tackle this. If this story hit you hard, give it a like. Share it with someone who loves a good twist. And maybe subscribe for more. Your support keeps these stories coming, and I'm aiming to make each one hit harder than the last. Keep your coffee strong and your peace stronger.